Hey drummers, hope you're well. Shout out to superstar channel member Mark and everybody sort of near the beginning of their drumming journey who's getting these sort of grooves going. This is all about developing your basic coordination when you're playing quarter notes on the hi-hat, and then you're starting to get a bit more funky, changing around the bass drum and the snare drum as well. In the first case, the bass drum. When we first start playing the drums, often drummers learn a groove like this. A straight eighths feel, and that's great. But sometimes before that, or in fact just as an alternative to that, generally in music, rather than playing those eighth notes on the hi-hat, drummers will play quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. For that cha, 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 cha. And you might think in the first case, oh, that would be even easier because it's simpler. There's not as many notes, right? But it actually... often it isn't for drummers when they're starting out, because when you're playing the eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and on your hi-hat or your ride cymbal, what that gives you is a little grid that you can then drop the bass drums or snare drums into. So at like grade 1 and grade 2, once you sort of get going with straight eighth notes, all the bass and snare variations, they like land in sync with the hi-hat. Is this making sense? Whereas when you're only playing quarter notes on the hi-hat, quite often when you're playing bass drums and snare drums and changing them up in grooves, they'll go a combination of with the hi-hat and in between. So although it's a simpler thing, or there is not as many notes on the hi-hat taking place in the groove, the coordination can be, for people starting out, more tricky. So Mark is working on initial grade from Trinity College London, which is amazing, an amazing series of grades, the gold standard, I would say, series of grades. And it's got some grooves like this. And people listen to it and they say, "Wow, it's easy, isn't it? Simple. I could do that easily." But actually, yeah, it isn't. Like, because that classic thing happens when you're only playing the quarter notes. Instinctively, beginners or even people who've been playing the drums a bit longer than that, we often find that we want to go with our hi-hat hand when the bass drum starts to vary. So you find yourself incorrectly, if you like, saying, so playing something like this. This is where people start saying, "Oh, I can't do it," and they start describing, "Every time I play the bass drum, my stick goes with it." So these I'm going to present here are 6 great grooves that will help you develop this core skill and your coordination generally. Remember, coordination skills, like everyone thinks everything is one specific discrete thing. Like people think a song is one discrete set of skills. People think this type of groove is one thing. People see everything separately. I have a much more holistic view of playing the drums. If you develop your coordination playing this particular type of thing, it'll help your coordination with another thing and another thing. All these skills just interweave together in a way that I think when you start playing the drums, it's difficult to even imagine. So I certainly didn't even imagine how much all the skills just cross over and interact with each other. So this is a brilliant bit of coordination skill for everybody, really. This is a simple, as I say, quarter note based grooves. We'll go through all 6 as usual on the channel members page. If you're a channel member of this channel, I'll give you the notation sheet and a practice along version for each one. You're going too fast. People say you can take each individual groove in turn, pull it up on screen, hit play, slow it down. You get the notation sheet for the whole lot. Here's the first groove. Goes like this. Groove number 1, kick, snare, kick, snare. So we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's interesting about this, very simple groove, beginner groove, is actually, it can take you a really long way in music. It can work in a punk context, in a rock context, other things like a polka. If you go in musical theatre, you spend half your night going, probably more than half your night, in fact, playing this groove. Umpar, umpar. So all those, again, it's a beginner groove. As with all these things, we don't underestimate them, because we might find yourself playing these all around the world one day on a world tour, because they're grooves that work. Anyway, that's number 1. Number 2 goes like this. So this is where the fun starts. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 3 and is the interesting bit, because you've got the 3, which is in sync with the hi-hat, and then the and, which is the bass drum on its own. If you're saying the phrase, I'm struggling with this, I find this hard, or you find yourself saying, oh, every time I go with the bass drum, my right hand goes with it, my hi-hat hand goes with it, you're going too fast. Slow right down, say them out loud. You have to show your hands and your feet and your brain the combinations. Like, do not try to miss out the bit where you actually learn it, but everyone does it. Remember, for a great musician who practices, and you could apply this right at the start, performance mode and practice learning mode are completely different. For the hack, for the person who's not very experienced at practicing, they actually look quite similar. People just try to, like beginners, just try to play stuff, whereas the great musician practices stuff. They learn it, they teach it to themselves. They diligently, patiently, deliberately go through the process. So just saying the notes out loud if you need to. Hi-hat and bass drum, hi-hat and snare, hi-hat and bass, bass, hi-hat and snare. Bet you don't practice it this slow. This is the speed to go at first. 3 and 4. Remember, when you're first learning it, you're not performing it, you're teaching it to yourself. You're giving your hands and your feet and your brain working together, your nervous system a chance to actually take the information in. Groove number 3 goes like this. Same story, nice and slow, program it in at first, and then just bit by bit your brain will start to change. It's beautiful. Your brain, your hands and your feet, your nervous system, good old myelination, I made a video about that a while ago, will start to take place. Your brain and your nervous system will start to change and cooperate in the coordination game for you if you work in this fashion. Groove number 4 will go like this. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 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 Groove number 5. So 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Again, I'm going to repeat it. If you say to yourself, oh, I'm struggling with this, I find this hard, you're not going slow enough. Slow down. Like, you have to start somewhere. Give this thing the respect it deserves. Last one, number 6, is a bit of fun. Goes like this. So this one, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 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 That's got a little skip note, so to speak, on the snare drum on the of beat 2. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 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 Shout out to Mark and everyone who's working on these grooves. Brilliant coordination for the drummer, getting their basic coordination skills off the ground. Great grooves in their own right, banging grooves. Quite a lot of tunes have that lovely straightforward feel with the quarter notes on the hi-hat, particularly 60s and 70s tunes. I would say it was used quite a lot in like a rock context, but you still hear it all over the place as well. I always feel like it's one of those grooves that producers and like songwriters really like. I think drummers kind of default to 8th notes on the hi-hat or even a faster note value, but producers and songwriters, music creators often love that sparser feel on the hi-hat. So a brilliant thing to do. Like I say, shout out to Mark. As usual, on the channel members page, check out the video description or the comment section below. I'll link to the full notation sheet for you and a practice along version for each of these grooves you can slow down, groove along with. If becoming a channel member sounds like it might be of interest to you, I'll put details about that as well. As a channel member, you get access to all the supporting materials for all of these videos, notation and practice along, personalized practice plan just for you, updated as you progress, complimentary 30-minute Zoom session, numerous other benefits as well. Thanks a million to all the amazing channel members, including Mark. I really appreciate your support and I hope you're finding the resources useful in return. Cheers.